Morning, Pat.
Let's see. Are any of the board members in person?
We have no board members in person presently.
Okay,
Hey,
I think we
Pat,
got a
Pat, this is Sandra. I think Mike Brower's headed your direction to the Capitol. Krista, he said he was going to be a little bit late, but I think he's coming to you.
Great, thanks for the heads up.
looks like he might be remote right now.
Yeah, Chair, this is Mike Brower. I'm listening. I'll be there shortly.
Okay. Well, I think we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order, and I'm going to go through and take a verbal roll. Begin with Mike. He just spoke to Mike Brower. Here,
Present.
Sarah Kaler. Robin. You'd want to affirm verbally. Connie's joining remotely.
Yes, I'm here, Robin.
Robin. Sandra.
Here.
Gary.
Yes, I'm here.
Jason.
Here.
Mike Kage. Ken Gregoire. Monica. Keith. All right, so myself, Mike Brower, Sarah did not respond, I don't believe. Robin, Sandra, Gary, and Jason. So that puts us at 6, which gives us a quorum. Thanks for joining in the middle of whatever you're doing. The first order of business is the approval of our board meeting minutes from our July meeting. Those were sent to you and would look for a motion to approve.
This is Jason. I'll move to approve.
This is Robin.
Jason
Second.
moves to approve, second by
Robin.
Robin. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Bye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Unanimous approval. The next item of business is from the Attorney General's office, and Chris, I believe that this is Chris Teeters, that your boss, the General Kobach, wishes to address the committee. So I will turn it over to Chris and Chris.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Before we go into that particular presentation, I'll give you a quick update on a couple of the developments since last month. Since last month, I believe the participation forms for the Purdue bankruptcy/settlement agreement, that kind of complex arrangement, have gone to the subdivisions, and I believe they're starting to sign on now. The subdivisions are asked to vote in favor of the bankruptcy plan. That's more of a belt and suspenders approach than something that's absolutely necessary on our end. But they have received the participation forms, and we've also sent out some additional guidance to the subdivisions, as I know that the League and the Association of Counties have been getting a lot of questions about that. To any subdivision who happen to be listening to this meeting, feel free to reach out to Nancy and I if you have additional questions about signing on and the impact there. I'll note that there is a separate settlement that is subdivision only that is being asked for a sign-on process right now. That is Sandoz. We can't advise you on whether or not you should sign on to those particular subdivision, or that particular settlement, but what we can tell you is that signing on to that settlement would not impact anything on our end because the state's not involved in that particular settlement. And that particular settlement is similar to every other opioid settlement. The dollars are restricted, so using those dollars in the same way that you would use MFAF dollars will stay consistently compliant with those particular settlement dollars. Finally, if you do accept and receive money from that particular settlement, we are asking that you would report it to us, simply for the sake of avoiding the appearance that you have spent more money than you have received on opioid settlement projects. That would just be a bit of a confusing mess for everybody trying to keep accountability on this. So if you do receive money from that Sandoz settlement, if you could report it to us, we would appreciate it. Last thing that I'll give an update on for settlements, anyway, is that settlements for what we're calling the secondary manufacturers, this is a series of 8 small settlements, should be getting into the water for subdivision sign-on either, it should have happened either this week or hopefully next week. The delay right now is trying to get a unified sign-on document so that each subdivision doesn't have to sign an additional 8 documents. So that's what's holding that up. But similar to the prior 2 settlements I just discussed, we are asking subdivisions to sign on to those just for a belt and suspenders approach. Again, if you have questions on those, you should have received guidance, but feel free to reach out to Nancy and I and we can answer those questions. Last thing for the subdivisions that I'll let you know is that we do have updated guidance on projections for what subdivisions will receive over the life of the settlement program. We just got those done yesterday, so if subdivisions do want to receive updated guidance, feel free to reach out to Nancy and I, and we'll get that information out to you. I think that we are sending a notice to the subdivisions that there will be, we're sending an updated notice to the subdivisions that updated information is available. I will note that is updated insofar as it includes the Kroger settlement. It does not yet include Purdue or the secondary manufacturers, and will never include anything on the Sandoz settlement. So we're still waiting for Kroger and the secondary manufacturers to become final before including those in our projections. And the Sandoz one, since we're not involved, we wouldn't be able to tell you how much you would receive anyway. So the usual caveats with this particular guidance apply, which is that this is used purely for planning purposes. It is a conservative estimate, which means we are reducing the amount that we think you'll get by about 10%, and that's what we're reporting to you for the purposes of accommodating any potential future reductions in payment, either from prepayments or companies not being able to make a payment, things like that. What we can guarantee is that the amount of money that you will receive is likely not to be the exact dollar amount that we report, but this is useful for planning purposes so that you can have an idea of how much, roughly how much you can expect in any given year. With that, I'd be open for questions.
Questions for Chris Teeters?
So Chris, on the Sandoz settlement, I understand you can't represent us, but what's the governance and the tactical items we need to do? It sounds like there's no downside to it, so why wouldn't we go ahead and sign on to that claim? So how do we actually execute that?
So the execution piece is the same as every other settlement that the subdivisions have done. They've received a participation form from Rubris asking you to sign on to this particular settlement, and that would entitle you to receive some money, assuming you are the right size. So the difference here is that under the MFAF, we've got a number of subdivisions signed on who are entitled to receive money under the MFAF that under the terms of the settlement agreement alone, they may or may not have been able to receive money. That's because a number of the settlement agreements set different population limits for subdivisions that would be entitled to receive money. Some of them are about 10,000, some of them are around 30,000 in population as the floor. So the one thing I can say is that I couldn't tell you for certain any particular subdivision that would be entitled to receive money or how much they would receive. But if the subdivision wants to sign on, it's the same way that you would do any other sign on. Rubris will send you a form, you e-sign it, and then you send it back to Rubris. And then at some point, Brown and Greer will cut a check for the particular subdivision.
So I think to answer Gary's question, there wouldn't be any reason not to sign it if subdivision got the form.
I might or may not have been intentionally not answering that question, as it would be considered guidance to the subdivisions on whether or not they should sign. I'm going to leave that
Okay.
up to their city and county attorneys.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions for Chris? Seeing none, I kind of hopped out of order, but if the General Kobach, if you're ready for your presentation, we can do the financial update after. I know you have your slides teed up. So
yeah.
With that being said, welcome General Kobach to our committee, and appreciate you giving this presentation. Of course, fentanyl is at the top of mind for all of us and for a lot of people, and it still is ravaging our country and our state. So thanks for bringing this information to us today, and I'll just open it up to General Kobach.
Okay, can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, great. Well, first of all, thank you for your service on the board, and also thank you for the opportunity to provide this, or to allow for this presentation, kind of out of the normal window that you would be looking at grant applications. And the reason we're bringing it now is that this idea just came to us at a meeting. I was at a meeting of attorneys general from around the country. And I wish I could claim that this idea was mine, but it is not. They're doing this in South Dakota already. We heard from the organization that is kind of at the forefront of this project, and we immediately contacted them and said, hey, could you possibly do something like this for us in Kansas? And they said they could. So for the past 2 months, we've been putting it all together and figuring out how it would work. And so I want to run through this proposal with you. I'm going to mention some other just general statistics about fentanyl. You probably already know most of this. There might be some numbers or some tidbits of information that are new for you. But just wanted to kind of lay it out and show you what we're proposing. And the other reason we want to do this now is, if we waited until January, then, that's another half a year where people are dying. And this idea may say, we believe it will save lives. We don't know how many, but we think it's important to move quickly. We also want to move before or during the fall semester of our colleges around the state, and that'll become clear. Why we want to do that will become clear in a minute. Okay, so let's go to the first slide. This is just a, you know this already. The number of fentanyl deaths continues to increase. We're now over 1,500, and we have to keep updating that number, unfortunately, as it just keeps on climbing. You may have heard in the news that the total amount of supply of fentanyl coming into the country has dropped since the beginning of the year, mainly because of the changes in the conditions at the border. So that's the good news. But there's still, lots of it in the country, and lots of it available online, and so people continue to die. And as you know, I like to think of it as two broad categories. There are people who are knowingly taking fentanyl as they have an addiction there, and this is part of their concoction of drugs that they use. But there's also people who are unknowingly taking it, and there's an ignorance generally among many people, and not on anybody on this board, but when I talk to people in the general public about this idea or about the fentanyl problem in general, there are a lot of people who don't know that the pills that you can get online or the pills you can get from a friend there's a significant probability they're laced with fentanyl. And so part of our campaign from this office has been addressing that ignorance. And of course, that ignorance has led to many overdoses because, I'm sure everybody knows someone who either has a family member who's had this happen or someone else. But I mean, just to give you an example, I mean, the ignorance is that the pill you think you're taking, if you didn't get it from a pharmacy, may very well contain fentanyl, is among people who should die from taking a pill that he thought was Xanax. And you would think, well, his dad being the KBI, he would know of this risk, but he didn't. I know of a brother of a district attorney in our state who died of fentanyl overdose. It's just unbelievable how many people aren't realizing the risks they're taking. So anyway, so you have that problem. Then you also have not inaccessibility, but the shortage of the solution, which one of the solutions, of course, is in the middle of someone's overdose episode, you can save their life with naloxone, also known as Narcan. And the problem is most people don't have some Narcan available at the ready. I carry a box of Narcan. Well, it comes in a box, but my pickup truck, and I have been for the past year approximately, and it can fit inside your glove box. It's about the size of a sleeve of 3 golf balls. It's a little box, and it's real convenient to carry around. And chances are I will never be next to somebody who needs that Narcan, but maybe I'll be at a convenience store someday, and something will be happening, and I will be the only person there who's got access to Narcan right there in my truck. So. At the time it needs to be there. So that's the issue this grant proposal would address. So let's go to the next slide. This is just some basic information you probably already know, that these pill presses are being used to manufacture the counterfeit drugs, typically Adderall, Xanax. There are other drugs that are being manufactured, and these counterfeits are really accurate looking. In other words, they look just like the actual pills are trying to mimic. But of course, the makers of these pills lace them with fentanyl. One of the reasons that the deaths occur is when these pill mills, and we've mentioned an example of a former Wichita, Kansas physician who was involved in one of these. They attempt to distribute the fentanyl evenly in these pills, but they fail. And so that's oftentimes what you'll see. Some student is taking it at college to try to stay up all night studying, or to try to have, they believe, better attention during an exam, and it works for them, and they think, oh, okay, this is great. I'm going to offer it to my friend as well next time, and the dose the pill right next to it, the one person is just fine, and the other person ends up dying. Let's go to the next slide. So, obviously educating people is a huge part of what we're trying to do here. Public service announcements are extremely beneficial. One of the interesting things I learned about public service announcements, we've already got a campaign out there right now with a slightly different fentanyl message, but I just assumed that, we all listen to public service announcements. We hear them on radio, we see them on TV. They must be free. They must be something that the television stations, the broadcasters provide out of the goodness of their heart. And while that may be true for some, it's generally not true, because we made this available more than a year ago, the one that we're currently running, and they just didn't run it until they were getting some money for it. So we have had to put some money behind our current campaign, which I'll get to in a minute. We also note here on this slide that this proposal we're making is in line with, of course, KFAB's purpose and strategies in achieving that purpose. Let's go to the next one. Okay, so obviously there's only minutes you have if someone's having an overdose reaction. You've got it's a matter of minutes to save that person's life. The proposal is this, and you can see a little photo of it there on the screen. That is a repurposed newspaper distribution box, and I'm sure we've all seen those, although they are increasingly no longer used because, of course, the print media has been supplemented by digital media, but supplanted by digital media. But those boxes, there's hundreds, thousands of those boxes all over this country that are not serving any purpose. And so this organization, Emily's Hope, came up with the idea of repurposing these boxes, painting them up differently, and using them as distribution points for fentanyl. And the organization Emily's Hope is doing this in South Dakota right now. They're trying to, one of their missions is to increase anyone who wants to take a box. But it's also, they have an additional mission of reducing the stigma associated with substance abuse. And they have multiple missions, but this one is the one that caught my eye. And the South Dakota Attorney General's office is working with them, and they've got these boxes around the state of South Dakota. They've got 10 of them. South Dakota's population, of course, is much smaller than Kansas's and more distributed. But I thought, well, we should be doing the same thing because if people can know that these boxes exist and they are near a place where a crisis might occur, we might save a life, or we might save multiple lives. And so what we're proposing is the distribution of these boxes throughout our state, 40 of them, as well as a new set of public service announcements informing people of the box's availability and informing them that, hey, if this is what a fentanyl overdose looks like, there is a means of addressing it and saving someone's life. And you can find one of these in these boxes, and then we probably include a link to a website where they can figure out where they are, or maybe even just flash a map up in the PSA. In addition, I've decided that we're going to use our staff to distribute naloxone at public events. For example, we hope to be able to do so at the state fair. At our table, we'd love to distribute 1,000 boxes if we can, just so members of the public can have them in case they need them. Let's go to the next slide. Okay, so the grant we're requesting is $177,000 and change. $150,000 of that is advertising, TV, YouTube, social media, and we believe that can go a long way. These boxes cost $676 a piece, and that includes the installation and delivery and putting them in place, which Emily's Hope would do for us. So we picked 40 boxes for a couple of reasons. One is that Kansas is roughly 4 times the population of South Dakota. 10 seems to be working for them, but more specifically, we have 40 four-year colleges or universities in the state of Kansas, and the thought would be to put these boxes on or near the campuses of those universities. Obviously, victims of accidental fentanyl overdoses are not just students, but a lot of them are students, and that would be a logical place to put the boxes. We're also requesting naloxone units, which this board has access to. We are seeking 7,000 of them for this first year. That would be 150 per box plus another 1,000 for our office to distribute at public events. We also have some of our officers who go to these, everything from old folks' homes to fairs to you name it, providing services and information. Those individuals would have these naloxone boxes to give to people as well, and also law enforcement. If there are many law enforcement agencies that don't have a large supply on hand, so the idea is just get them out there, and in the hope that we will have them there or nearby when somebody is in a crisis situation and needs it. And then Charlie, let's go to the next one. Oh, and this is just FYI. This is not about the current request, but just so you know what we've done already. So we have a PSA that's up right now. KSNT 2 months ago said, just out of the blue, said, hey, we'd like to work with you in addressing this ignorance surrounding fentanyl and pills, counterfeit pills. And so they started covering the issue in multiple stories, and then they started running the ad, which we're about to show you on their networks. And this ad is about the message, don't take a pill that you haven't gotten from a doctor or a pharmacy. The ad we're proposing as part of this distribution box campaign is informing people about Narcan, what it does, and the fact that you need to have access to it if you see someone having a fentanyl overdose. The current ad is, in addition to KSNT, we also got a grant from the Attorney General Alliance to run that ad on other networks. We also have a unit within the KBI dealing specifically with fentanyl. Something you may not have heard about. This was in my first year in office in 2023. We introduced the Midwest first team of fentanyl detecting dogs. We have 4 of them deployed around the state, and they are doing fantastic work because we, in addition to bringing them to a likely drug bust or an incident where we think there might be fentanyl, we're also using these dogs to scan boxes. Fentanyl is often moved through the mail, and we take them to distribution points, or rather processing points, and we're using the dogs there to enter. Local law enforcement agencies, you probably read some of the headlines. There was a big one in Wichita not long ago. We're just, it says thousands of doses. It should be millions of doses of fentanyl off Kansas streets. So we're doing everything we can think of, and this proposal is the next thing we thought of, and it seems like it saved a lot of lives. And then next we have the, this is just the ad that's currently out. Again, this is not the ad we're proposing, just because the ad we're proposing, as I mentioned, has a message about naloxone. This is the ad just that's running right now. You may have seen it, about the ignorance concerning counterfeit pills. So we'll just play it real quickly for you.
Safe, but was actually laced with fentanyl. And the problem is getting worse, not better. Fentanyl is a poison that is killing more and more Kansans every day. Be smart and protect yourself. Don't take any pill that you did not get from a doctor or from a pharmacy.
So anyway, the proposal.
All right, this feels almost.
Okay, there we got it. So that's our proposal to get these boxes out to 40 locations, and to have the Narcan to stock them, and to inform the public why these boxes are there, where they are, and why you need to know about them. It seems to me that there's these 2 different ads, have the one we already have running and the one we're proposing, have different audiences. The one that's already running is to the person who's thinking about taking the pill that their friend at college says really helped him take his exam. And the ad we're proposing to reach is all of the rest of us and that kid at college, saying, hey, you need to know that there's a life-saving tool out there, this naloxone, and here's where you can get it. And you should, if you are willing to keep it in your glove box of your car, you should be doing that, because we need it distributed everywhere to potentially save lives. So that's the ask. Any questions?
General Kobach, thank you very much. What was the total amount of requests?
We'll go to the screen there. So $177,060. The boxes are a relatively small portion of that, 27,000.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for the presentation. Of course, all of us on the board and in the room probably know somebody that's died from the fentanyl, and I was just with the family yesterday that had lost a loved one. So the crisis is now. So any questions for the Attorney General's office or for General Kobach?
Pat, this is Sandra. Attorney General Kobach, thank you for bringing this information and presentation to us. Just curious how this initiative might coordinate with, I know DECA is also doing some of this work statewide with, I know there are, I think, 2 boxes now here in Lawrence. So there are some other folks doing the same work. So just curious how that awareness might be coordinated, if at all?
You know, we'd like to work with them if in, you know, perhaps when we broadcast or put on a website a map of where these boxes are, we'd love to include theirs in that information, because yeah, there's if we can, you know, multiply our effort and its impact by working with them and anybody else who's out there, which we may not yet be aware of, we'd love to know about them and add them to the, you know, to the locations. And you know, it's in this case, the more the better. We think 40 may not be enough, but we know that's a good number to start with. And of course, Lawrence is a perfect place for these, you know, these to exist. So yeah, we'd love to coordinate with them.
Other questions?
Chair, this is Mike Breyer. I have a question for the Attorney General.
Go ahead, Mike.
Attorney General Kobach, yes, thank you for your time. We do appreciate that. I was curious, with the PSAs, is there, are you using those on social media as well, or is that part of the plan for those currently too?
PSAs are in broadcast, and I think, Charlie, do we have them on social media? Do you know which Instagram right now? And yeah, the ad we're proposing for this naloxone information project would also be used in all three, you know, like three, I should say two, TV and then social media, if you include YouTube as one of the social media locations.
That's fantastic. That's I was curious as to getting out there on YouTube and so forth. So that's great.
Yeah, I mean, it's a, you know, as someone who's involved every 4 years in, you know, running ads, because to get elected, the world has changed compared to what it was 20 years ago, where, you know, all of your ads were on TV and in postcards. Now it's, yeah, social media is where so many people get their information now. So yeah, we have to, this PSA and anybody who's advertising anything now has to look to social media to be one of the dominant mediums in which they advertise, if not the dominant one.
Any other questions?
No, Pat, I was just going to say I appreciate the Attorney General's time, and I think this is a relatively small amount of money for a scalable opportunity, and I would so move that we approve the grant.
Motion to approve. Do I hear a second?
This is Sandra. I'll second.
Sandra seconds. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Raise your hand.
Aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Unanimous approval. Well, thanks for the presentation. I might also ask Krista and Alyssa from the Sunflower staff to perhaps through your connections to Sandra's point of coordination, if other entities, DECA or whoever is doing something similar, maybe you could pass on that information to the AG's office to help them coordinate.
Yeah, we'd be happy to do that.
Thank you. And thank you for the approval of the grant. We're really looking forward to getting this rolled out ASAP.
Well, our primary mission, I've always felt, is saving lives and saving families. So this goes fits right in there. So thanks for the presentation.
You're welcome. Thank you.
With that, we will move back to item 4 and get a financial update from Shauna from Sunflower. So
thank you, Chair. Shanna Zimmer, CFO with Sunflower Foundation. Thanks for letting me come in today to give you a brief financial update on the fund balance. I believe the materials that I'll be referring to are in your packet. We'll start out with the total fund balance summary as of July 31. So far, we've received total deposits of just over $90 million. Total net interest earned in that account is $4.8 million. So far paid for administrative support to Sunflower, along with the $1.5 million needs assessment, is 2.4. So far the interest is covering any administration expenses that have been pulled out, including the needs assessment. So far, cash payments out the door are just over 18.5 or 18.5 million, leaving us a bank fund balance of just over 74 million. A few notes on this, and to give you some perspective, in 1 month in July, we earned just over 197,000 in interest. We have 100% FDIC coverage. We have daily liquidity in the account, so if we need to move money next day, we're able to do so. And just a reminder that the interest rate is variable, and right now we're at 3.15%. I did give you a few notes there on the outstanding grant payments that we've committed and/or the board has approved that have not yet paid out. And all of those are on payment schedules, and we are working with grantees to distribute those funds. The current unencumbered balance is just over 68 million. Any questions on the fund balance summary before you?
Questions for Shanna? Seeing none.
Awesome, thank you. We'll move along
Thank you.
to the couple of invoices that I've included in the packet. One is our quarterly administrative project support invoice for expenses. This includes salaries, benefits, any staff developments, training, grants management system, or Flux as you know it. And then also in April, Krista and Alyssa attended an opioid summit in which those expenses are included. Again, that's all direct grant support, or grant administration support rather, primarily Krista and Alyssa and their work to assist with the grants management. Again, this is a quarterly invoice, spans from April through June of 2025. Also includes the indirect rate of 10% or not to exceed, same that is allowed for other grantees. Sunflower Foundation is requesting a grant for $109,269.82.
We need to consider these individually as what happened before, so would look for a motion from the board to approve this invoice of $109,269, I believe was the amount.
So moved.
Second,
This
Mike.
is Robin, second.
Robin seconds. Any further discussion? All in favor of approving the quarterly invoice from Sunflower? Aye, with a raised hand, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Unanimous approval. Thank you. Let's go on to the next invoice, Shanna.
Yes, thank you for that approval. I just wanted to express that we appreciate the opportunity to work with the Office of the Attorney General to help administer these grants, so thank you. The second invoice that I've included in your packet refers back to action the board took earlier this year to support a one-day conference, the IMFAF conference, I believe in Kansas City in mid-April. This request came through to help support the attendees and their accommodations for lunch, snacks, other items that might help support them to be there. And I don't know who worked with the meal planning or the agenda planning, but I got the invoice and we paid it. And the total was $4,993.76. So we would like action to be reimbursed.
Questions for Shanna?
Move to approve.
Have a second?
Second by Mike.
Mike seconds. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
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 Those opposed, same sign. Unanimous approval. Thank you. Is it, you have any more, Shanna, or we?
That's it. I promise.
Okay.
That's it for me. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for the presentation. Thanks for keeping track of the money. The reports are always pro, and we appreciate that. Item 6, the update on grants by Krista and Alyssa. So I will turn it over to you, Krista.
All right, thanks. So for grant updates, progress reports have started coming in for RFP3 grantees. Once those are approved through the system, board members will be able to view those in the board portal if you guys are interested in looking at that. And we are also working on how we can provide updates to the data and associated enhancements to those county profiles that the board discussed at the last meeting. We're thinking that it should be feasible for us to be able to provide at least annual updates for those county profiles that will be useful for communities and partners. So DJ is actually helping us figure out what data and indicators we can add to the existing data set that might be helpful for communities, what data we have access to already or we'd need to facilitate some sort of access to for that, and what software we might need to best communicate and visualize that data. So we're looking into how we can make that happen on the back end based on the discussion from the board last month. Any questions for me before Alyssa gives an update on needs assessment?
Questions for Krista? Seeing none, thank you. Alyssa?
Yes, good morning. So needs assessment updates. So in terms of wrapping things up, we have been working closely with KU and we're feeling really good about it. We will be sending out, dependent on the board's decision today, the final document appendix presentation slides, the ArcGIS map that KU presented at the last meeting, to ensure that you guys get those pieces all together in one place. We also have developed a plan to maintain the Project United to Transform website, where we will be placing all of the materials from this project on there. So really keeping it as a unifying place for anyone interested to be able to see the needs assessment itself, but then see other components like the county profiles. We just found that would be easiest, and so Sunflower will be maintaining that. So if there's any questions or anything to be added related to needs assessment, we're always happy to do that. And so other than that, we had a wrap-up meeting with them and it went really well. So we are excited to kind of see the board move forward kind of now that this process is wrapped up.
Thank you. Questions or comments for Alyssa or Krista? Seeing none, thank you for the continued good work. Very much a pleasure working with you two and all of Sunflower. Certainly makes our life a little easier. Can detect the passion in your work, and I appreciate that. The next implementation of our needs assessment, and not that we're done. They are, standby is not quite the right word, but if we need to include the folks from KU in our further discussions and planning, you know, they have amassed a lot of information and probably more readily available from their memory banks than from us pulling it out of the large report that was produced. So would look for a motion to adopt the report. That's not saying we agree with everything in it or disagree, but that we accept the report from KU and look for that motion.
This is Robin. I move we accept the report from KU.
Moved. Do I have a second?
This is Sandra. I'll second.
Second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
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 Those opposed, same sign. Unanimous approval for adoption. Thank you. The last item is, you know, we've talked and about where do we go from here, and I feel like I wanted to just put on paper what I felt the direction of the board was wanting to go. This is not my opinion, even though I agree with what was put out there, and I just felt like in discussion we've had over the last year that this was the direction, and wanted to get some sort of a guiding light for us, so to speak. And so put the statement out there, and would certainly, I'm not wed to anything. It's a board decision, and I've been on many boards, probably all of you have. I really feel good. We've been very cohesive, and just to continue that momentum, we have a kind of an awesome challenge and an awesome opportunity. And I think the general sentiment is, at least for me, and I think I've heard from about everybody on the board, that not really interested in just keep doing what we've been doing. At that level, we have this opportunity with the funds that have been afforded to us to do something that perhaps could make a bigger splash, and hopefully be something that would be emulated, not just around the state, but around the country. So I will stop there, maybe just to give a little bit of a overview, but looked at, okay, for the short term, to basically consider things that can have an immediate need, similar to what we've done the last 2 years, but during this time start formulating this innovation, and look at things that are actually working, and try to encourage collaboration between entities. I know everyone's voiced how collaboration we could make a bigger bang, and look at a longer term, 5-year commitments to help support these, and we would allocate the majority of our funds to doing that. And I figure that it would take at least a year, 18 months to kind of formulate where we want to go in that area. And then have also an amount for innovative ideas that would pop up, that we could react, in a immediate fashion, so to speak. So that's kind of a general strategy. Would open it up from there, and any other comments from people about this particular strategy, or enhancing this strategy, or if you want to go a different direction, certainly open to that. So I'm going to pause there, ask for comment.
This is Sandra. I appreciate you putting pen to paper and giving us a one-page kind of synopsis. I mean, it's helpful to look at something and respond and talk about that. So I appreciate your work on that. I'm curious, and this is more directed to the Sunflower team. At the end of the last meeting, and I think this was in the minutes, we had asked the Sunflower team to kind of spend some time thinking about an approach, or a couple different approaches that we could respond to. And so, Krista and Alyssa, I'm curious if you all have the opportunity to do some of that work, and if it's kind of in the same vein as what Pat's proposed, or I'm just really interested in what's happened since the last meeting.
I might hop in there. I was in discussion. This is certainly not just my thoughts. Included Krista. Mainly, we had many discussions because of what you asked for, Sandra, and then other board members certainly contributed just over the period of time to developing this. So if you look at the bottom of the statement, the A and B, Krista and I had talked about it. We began with about 5 different proposals and strategies and that, and I said, let's see if let me take a stab at putting what I think the board, the main direction that they want to go, but also some alternatives. And then know that I figured that over the next couple of meetings that we would fine tune what was put out there, but just wanted to get something on paper. So I'll pause there. And Krista, if you want to hop in.
Sure, yeah, I can fill in too on other things that we've been working on around this, other than just the homework specifically and those questions about board vision that Pat mentioned. We've also been working on what is now currently a messy brainstorm, but if anyone's been through a facilitated process of strategic planning and you literally put things on the wall, we have like everything in the kitchen sink we can think of on the wall, and Alyssa's been working on putting that into a Miro board that is a start to a strategic plan. And then we are also identifying the opportunities that exist in the needs assessment, not only for those strategies, but things that we could think about for the board for short-term, long-term kind of strategies and impact, and how we can look at transforming parts of the system, while also fortifying where we need to. So trying to come up with a bunch of different ideas and strategies so that based on the board's direction, we have a lot of information at our fingertips that we could quickly try to put something together based on that for the board. And so we have that, we're working on that. If anyone's interested in seeing it, Alyssa has it today, so we could share her screen to show what the process of that internally is looking like and how big of a Miro board and ideas we have, kind of looking across the continuum. We're also looking into how we could potentially bring funding frameworks to the board, so kind of like how we do the work. Right now, it's just been these standard RFPs, the board says to develop it, and then we go back and develop it. But we are also thinking about more philanthropic kind of approaches where we might also include things that are like responsive grants where there's an immediate need that has come up, or, you know, I guess our federal funding cuts could be something particularly that would fall under that category, where a need is to be, or a need has been created that is needing to be filled. And or if there is an opportunity for innovation and maybe someone just needs a little bit of funds for matching, and then it unlocks a lot of other funds. So responsive in that sense of like timely considerations, targeted funding examples of going to entities more so, and working on a proposal based on the board's desires. So maybe the board has a specific priority and we know there are certain organizations that are already doing that work or have the capacity to do that work. We would work with them to come up with some kind of proposal for the board to consider. Of course, innovation grants and pilot projects, so like those safe to fail projects the needs assessment talked about and what Pat is talking about as well, or even some of those kind of innovation challenge grants. Kansas Health Foundation's done that recently, and Colorado's done that with their opioid settlement dollars. And then things that are more systems transformation, so collaborative learning and development is kind of what we're thinking of that right now. Of there will be things that are going to require a lot of work up front to come up with something. Like if a statewide treatment navigation system is an example of something the board is interested in figuring out, that would require pulling together a lot of stakeholders over probably a couple of years to figure out what that could and should look like, and then could result in potentially a funding recommendation. There might be some work like that that may not ever come with a funding recommendation, but just needs a little bit of mobilization that Alyssa and I could help with. So we're thinking of like different categories of things that might come to the board of like how we do the work, and then also how we support not only our grantees, but the other stakeholders across the state. So like those county profiles would be an example of that, but then we also want to build in training and technical assistance for our grantees, and having learning collaboratives and communities of practices so that we can better support all of our grantees in targeted approaches. We can't do that right now with 52 different strategies and 2 RFPs. But as we get more targeted, we could also build in those kind of things, which we're excited to look into what that could look like. And then also things that might be just state level capacity building supports that we've thought about, things like a statewide grant writer. That wouldn't be part of a grant administration role of Sunflower, but we could hire someone that it's their full-time job to just do that, and anyone could access and help entities apply for other funds potentially. So just different types of supports that could exist, and for those grantees and our other state partners, but then also looking at that state level planning and collaboration, bringing people together, thinking about how we can braid funding as a state, other stakeholder engagement, our experts across different topic areas, but then also those with lived experience. And then looking at kind of moving into strategic planning, as I mentioned, looking at those high level kind of overarching goals that might best guide return on investment, like strategies to prevent incarceration or ED visits, strategies that improve treatment outcomes, so something that reduces the number of treatment attempts it takes to find recovery, and preventing the onset or progression of substance use. We're kind of playing around the idea with around with the idea of having that kind of be the strategic vision of whatever frameworks we put together for you all, and how we create those frameworks, making sure that we're including how it would be sustained, what systems level work needs to go alongside it outside of just grant funding to achieve success and sustainability, and how do we create those evaluation plans to assess and adjust along the way based on what the board's interested in doing, and how do we shift from those short-term to long-term funding strategies, while also building our statewide capacity, and also looking at pilot projects that some might be shorter-term pilot projects to foster innovation, community responsiveness, and those kind of opportunities to test new ideas before scaling. So, and also we're looking at creating that unallowables list, as we've talked about, for the board to consider, and then what the process for profit. So those are kind of all the things we're working on behind the scenes of like how we do the work and how we can quickly adapt to whatever strategy or priorities the board sets. If anyone's interested in seeing the Miro board, Alyssa could share her screen too, but I'll leave that up to you all.
And just to hop in here, obviously, thanks for the information, Krista, and we've been in discussion, and if it's the board's wishes, I mean, there's just a lot there. We're talking at a pretty high level today, but would like to ask the board if they'd be interested in having a brainstorming session, a whiteboard session. And I was thinking maybe an interim before our next meeting, but it time flies, and I know everybody's busy. We could just make our next board meeting and even look for kind of a different setting and more conducive to not just talk about all the things that Krista just presented to us, but other things that we feel like would guide us going further. So I'll be thinking about that, and I'll ask your opinion. You can voice it now if you're interested. Seems like our September meeting would be Krista and Alyssa can get out all the information that they've been working on, and then we can come together as a board and just spend several hours kind of formulate our strategies going forward. So, other questions or comments?
I think the September board meeting would be a great time for us to do that. And I do think we're at the point as a board, we've practiced with these little grants for a couple of years now, and really spend some time with your notes, with the information Krista and team have shared, to really develop our strategy so that we can make big impact. Because I think we all know we can with this kind of money. We just need to get to it.
Other comments?
Chair, this is Mike Brower. I had an opportunity here last month at the National Association of Counties annual meeting to talk about the KFAB to the Kansas Association of Counties caucus. And so just hearing some of their interests. So first of all, kind of your plan to paper here, which is reflective of our previous conversations, is exactly what a lot of the counties are asking for, is more of a long-term funding where they can plan and feel like they have a little more solid footing to develop sustainability. But also in that, there is obviously tremendous interest about getting some smaller grant RFPs like we've done in the past out this year so that people can plan on 2026 calendar budget years. And so that window, I think, is closing rather quickly on 2025 to take that action and make those decisions.
Thanks, Mike. Other comments, questions?
Mr. Chair, this is Chris. Just one thing I wanted to let you and the board know is that for the September meeting, you'll have an updated projection for the total settlement dollars that'll be available to you. I assume by then I will be able to add in one or more of the settlements that are not yet final. So just you'll have some additional updated information for you to help inform those decisions.
Thank you. Well, let's just plan on the September 12th meeting. Would encourage everyone to attend in person if at all possible, and it'll be a little different format and try to put something together with whiteboard session, so to speak, and that'll help guide us. And there's lots of people watching what we do, which is good, and they want to kind of hitch their wagon to us. So that gives us a great opportunity to do what I know. I've spoke the word collaboration a lot, and I think all the board, and it'd just be a way for others to collaborate with us and us with them. So we will just plan on that. More information will be out there. We might look for a different location that would be conducive, to this sort of discussion. So with that, that brings us to the close of the meeting. Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, I adjourn the meeting. Thank you very much. Oh, one more thing. Keep Connie in your prayers. She's been dealing with some health issues, and I know she's with us via WebEx, and so just wish her well, and miss seeing her in person. So thank you, and we are adjourned.